The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Live from Boston, Massachusetts, this is Unscheduled with Les Skymo and Dave. Yes, and I want to thank our military, Dave, all around the world that's serving, and for their service and their families, and our prayers are with them. And I just thank each and every one of them for their service, Dave. And
yeah, they're doing a great job for this country, I'll tell you.
They are doing a great job. You know, you look at our colleges and the mess that these young kids is in these days at these colleges, this Antifa and all this nonsense. But you know, our millennials, they're not all that way, brother. They are enlisting in the armed services. They're going and bleeding and dying for our country. And hoorah and semper fi, and to all of you in all the branches of the military. And anything, Dave?
They're doing a great job. You know, I heard that, you know, what the president, one of the things he got the North Koreans to agree on, or Kim Jong-un, was to return all the servicemen from Korea that were, you know, are lost up there. I think it's like 7,000 of our men are still unaccounted for that are in North Korea.
Still missing, yeah.
So, you know, it would be a great thing if he could get the North Koreans to find their bodies and send them back, so they could, you know, be brought home finally. And that would be a great thing if Trump could get even that thing done.
Right. You know, this is a historical time, Dave. 74 years since the Korean War. And, you know, like I say, the MIAs, every war we've had MIAs missing in action. And, you know, it's these families, now their descendants, to receive their remains. It would be remarkable to just allow a search party to just give them an open rein to find these people.
It was like 7,000, I think, close to it.
Somewhere, yeah, about 7,000.
That's unbelievable. I didn't know there was that many.
Yeah.
So I heard the president speak on it.
Right. Yeah.
That would be fantastic if we could get even the majority of them brought back home.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, we have we've got people that go into Vietnam, and a lot of the local people are leading our people to these remains, and that's how we've got a lot of the remains back from Vietnam. It's from the local villagers, and you know, we do need their help.
Oh yeah.
And it's a heck of a task, a monumental task, to find all these, and I'm sure not all of them would ever be found, Dave, but let's go in and get what we can, man, you know, because the families deserve it. They deserve it. My dad was a Korean War veteran. He was in during the Korean War, and I was in the service. They was older, but with some the lifers, we called them, you know, and you know, I met a World War II veteran today, and he was well up in his 80s, and he was in the Philippines fighting the Japs, and took Mom to the eye doctor. And
most of the World War II veterans are in their 90s right now.
So boys bumping it, I can tell you.
Korean fought in Korea probably mid-80s.
Well,
I'm 60, almost 65,
yeah.
and I was born right after the war was over. So
right.
You could figure they'd have to be close to mid-80s right now. The Korean vets would. Because I was born in 1954.
Right.
So early 54. So they'd have to be minimum of 83.
Oh yeah. This old feller, he was on a walker and barely getting around, and I seen him with his hat, and he had all his pins and stuff. And I just love to go up to them old boys and just thank them for their service, Dave, you know. And now the Vietnam veterans, I think it's somewhere around 4,000 veterans a month or something like that we lose. 2,000 a month or something.
Mostly.
It's up there.
Yeah, they're getting old. There's not that many World War II veterans left.
Not many.
Just a handful, basically, compared to what there were, because they're all well up into their 90s.
Right.
Mid-90s right now. So, and that's if they were, 18, 17 years old during the war.
Yeah.
When the war began.
And that brings me to this story, Dave. Now, there's several things, if we get around to it, I want to get into. But now, I read this story, and it's from, I think it's Channel 8 News from down in Florida. And at Fort Wayne, Indiana, they took down the 5 military flags, this medical center, VA Northern Indiana Healthcare System. It's a hospital. They took down their 5 military flags yesterday, Tuesday, and put up a gay pride flag. Now, you talk about somebody steamed. I don't know who else done this. I'd never heard of it. I was blindsided by it. And I researched it. It appears to be true. All I can find on it, it's authentic post. And folks, I tell you what, and I don't, like I said, I don't know if that was just a rogue administrator that had that done, or if that happened in other VA facilities. I don't know. But I did call my Congressman Steve Shabbat and brother. They did get a piece of my mind on this. And the aide, of course, you don't talk to the senators or congressmen unless it's election time. Mm-hmm. And if you go and give them $15,000-$20,000 for one of their dinners, you can talk to them.
Sure.
And but his aide was like, "Well, thank you. I'll pass this on to him." I said, "Hold everything, buddy." I said, "I'm going to leave my name and I'm going to leave my address. I want to personally know how he feels about this." I demanded a letter from Steve Shabbat. Now, I did go to a rally several years ago down in Cincinnati, and I personally shook hands and talked to Steve Shabbat. And back then...
this district has changed over the years.
It has, yeah.
Let's see, back in, I'm thinking, mid to late 80s, it was further south down in mostly Cincinnati, northern Cincinnati. It's gradually it's come up north.
Well, see, that was, now that rally was before he was come up north. Mm-hmm. And but there's a big Second Amendment deal going, and a bunch of militias and a bunch of people showed up. So I went down there, and he was running for a congressman, and and he seemed to be a really good guy. I personally talked to him, asked him questions. He took time, personal, talk to as many people as he could. Of course, I mean, but I've kept track of him over the years, and he's done what he said he would do. He's really tried, and but now, the congressional business is another thing. There's so much money involved in it, and buying they have to raise so much money for their seats on these
You're right about that,
committees and stuff,
But there's so many professional politicians. I think Mr. Shabbat's one of them. He's a pro. He's been around.
Oh, yeah.
He's been around for a long time.
Oh yeah.
And he's going to continue. I mean, that's all they do.
Oh, yeah.
They run for office, collect money, raise money, run for office.
Right.
every 2 years. You know, it's the same routine.
Well, and you know, and that's just like Jim Renisi. I went and talked to him, and he may be a nice guy and everything. I don't care for him as a politician. He's going on about how, and he had all kinds of businesses, and he's a great businessman, a very smart, intelligent businessman. Okay, but he's been in Congress for 10 years, okay, and still spouting that he's a businessman. No, you're not. You're a professional politician. Right. You know,
you run more than 2 or 3 terms, you become a professional politician.
Yeah, unless you still own them businesses and have families taking care of them businesses, still you're excluded from them. All your stuff's got to go into a blind trust. So you're a professional politician. You know, you get 2 or 3 terms and you're still running for more. You're a professional politician. But, you know, this burned my hide, Dave, and I just couldn't, and it's not about being gay, okay? It's not about that at all. People accuse me of that, of gay bashing. That's not true at all. It has nothing to do with them. Real quick, folks, if you want to call and ask us a question, you can, or make a comment, 1-800-508-5431 is our toll-free number, and Facebook, we got Facebook Live. How you doing, Facebook Live? We got that going. I'm glad y'all tuned in, and forgive me for ignoring you in the get-go, but, you know, hello to you. And I've got the Nancy here on the Facebook. You got any questions or comments? Y'all just type them on there, and she'll keep, she'll keep track of all that for us, and we'll move right along. But now, Dave, you know, that just, like I said, it's not about being gay. It's about taking those 5 flags down and disrespecting all 5 branches of our military. That's exactly what it's about for me. You know, I know when I was in the military, I had a guy in my company, 2 of them, where I knew they was homosexuals. But you know what? That had nothing to do with what we worked together, you know, and we done a little partying back in them days together. But you know, there was no outward appearance of that at all. No, I mean, you know, we just didn't do that. But now I didn't care. It didn't bother me none. They never bothered me. I never bothered them. We was friends. Like I said, we worked side by side together, Dave. And like I said before, we was a well-oiled machine, brother. There wasn't nothing, when it come to us doing our duty, there was no politics involved in it. And even when we was out off the job, out doing things, you know, as friends, we'd go in clusters and go and do things. None of that ever surfaced. We didn't care about that, you know. And so this stuff is, and a lot of your gays, they're not for all this stuff, Dave. They're not for cramming this stuff down people's throat. In a lot of ways, they're like me and you. They don't want to cram their sexual preference down your throat. But it seems, I don't know if they'd be in the majority or the minority, but you sure got a bunch of them that's cramming this down people's throat. This was unnecessary. Mm-hmm. Totally unnecessary, Dave.
Sure.
Now, let's move on to California. Good old, there's gold in them there.
It's a beautiful state. I'll tell you what. I've been from San Diego all the way to San Francisco, all the way to Yosemite, all through the state. It's a beautiful state. It's the weather's perfect. I mean,
the coast
of all the United States that I've been in, the best weather, even compared to Hawaii, is Southern California.
Yeah.
When you get that ocean breeze in mid-July, it's about 74 degrees. A nice, cool, perfect sunny day.
Yeah.
Not too hot, not too humid. Perfect weather.
Yeah.
And it stays like that. I mean, it doesn't rain a lot in Southern California. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, if it wasn't for irrigation and water management, it would be a desert.
Right.
Because you drive on I-5 north, up towards San Francisco, and you can look on the right-hand side of the road that's irrigated. It's green. On the other side of the road, it's desert.
Desert, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
it's crazy. It's crazy dry.
Well, now, wasn't Nevada a desert?
It still is, pretty much.
Yeah. But now they pump water.
You got on the border, Lake Tahoe, which is a huge lake, and California has a bit of that. Matter of fact, if you're in downtown Lake Tahoe, the property line for California and Nevada, it runs about halfway down the town. The casinos are on the right-hand side, the eastern side, and they're allowed. Well, naturally, no casinos are allowed in California, but it's just like you cross the street.
And then a different state?
Oh, yeah, the same way in Lake Tahoe. It runs about a third of it goes into California, but the rest of it's in Nevada.
Well, now, the last time I seen pictures of that lake, it's way low. It's way down, the droughts and things.
It's a huge lake, though.
Yeah.
It's
I don't know
deep.
how deep it is.
It is deep. It's very deep. I don't know either, but it's very deep.
Well, there's a venture capitalist named Tim Draper that wants to break up the state of California. And I assume it's called Cal 3 is what they want to do. This guy, he headed it up, and I believe, I don't know this for sure, but through what I've read here, that he's the one that funded all this. And, they've got, on my paper here, I don't know exactly how many signatures they needed.
I think they have enough.
They've received more than 4 million.
That's what I've heard.
And 402,468 valid signatures. Yeah, I read that right last time, I believe. Almost 500,000 signatures. Let's say almost 500,000 signatures. And they surpassed the required amount and so it's going on the ballot in November, brother, and so they say it's going to pass.
Even if it does, though, it'd take Congress to make it law.
Yeah.
To make it in existence, because it's just like Puerto Rico's a U.S. territory, but it's not a state.
Right.
But everybody born in Puerto Rico is a U.S. citizen.
Is a U.S. citizen,
But the case with California is, even if they split apart into 3 sections, which, even if they vote that way, it would still take Congress to do it. I don't think they have
Congress
enough votes.
Has to approve
I don't think with the Republican control it would happen in the Congress, because let's face it, you can have 6 senators.
Yeah.
So 2 of them would probably be conservative in Southern California, which is part of San Diego. Then you got Los Angeles County, which is very liberal, and then all the way up, that would be California. Then north would be Northern California, which is very liberal. So I don't think the Republicans would want to have extra 4 Democrat senators.
Yeah.
It's not a good trade.
Well, now here's what you'd have. Here's the breakdown. The way these people have this figured, Dave. Now, California, you'd have California. You'd have Southern California and Northern California. Now, their breakdown would be California would be the smallest. It would only have 6 counties. Okay, now, I don't know if that would be the most liberal part of California or not.
Probably north.
You think that'd be the most
Marin County and San Francisco area, that would all be, they're probably more liberal than Los Angeles County. Right,
well, you got Sacramento there too, and the San Francisco Bay Area there. Now, California would have 6 counties. Southern California would have 12 counties. Now, the big one would be Northern California. They would have 40 counties. So that's not a very good, I don't know why they would be such an uneven split there. I don't understand that. But now there's 55 electoral votes for the whole state. So now them would have to be divided up. according to the population.
It would be divided by population.
You know.
And that's why they're raising such a ruckus on this census question coming up in 2020. Because if you're not a U.S. citizen, you shouldn't have to fill out a census form.
Right.
Because you should not be counted.
Exactly.
If you're not a U.S. citizen.
Right.
And that's what the administration is going to do, is put that on the census. I happen to be a census taker in the year 2000. That's why I know these things. Somewhat experienced, but I was out of work back then. I did that.
Yeah.
When the 2000 census came along, I was a census taker. And the question is, they don't want the question to be asked, are you a U.S. citizen?
Yeah, right.
Because you don't count.
But see, now the liberals are having a cow over that because
right.
They want to stuff the ballot boxes. Mm-hmm. Same thing here in Ohio. Mm-hmm. The Supreme Court, Ohio State Supreme Court, ruled that it's constitutional to drop you from the voter rolls if you don't vote in 2 consecutive elections.
Right.
That they will drop you off the voter rolls. Now, the Democrats having a fit over that, okay, because they want you left on there, even if you are an inactive voter, so they can stuff your name in a ballot box and say, hey, they voted, they're on the voter roll.
Remember this last election, when Trump ran?
Yeah.
Remember what happened in southern Michigan? It was in one of the counties, I think close to Detroit. There was more people voted than were registered.
Right. Yeah.
Voters.
Yeah. Right.
Think about that for a second. More people voted than there were registered voters.
Exactly, yeah.
So what's that tell you right there?
Right, that they're stuffing the ballot box.
Exactly.
And that's exactly why they're having a fit over this. Mm-hmm. They're losing their black base. Okay, here's the thing about the Democrats, and everybody with the brain knows this. They will break everybody up into groups. You got your homosexuals, you got your blacks, you got your Hispanics, okay, and then you got your whites, which they're really not too concerned about the whites. They know they got a bunch of them, and then you got
it's identity politics.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to say.
That's exactly what it is.
And what I love
what group you belong to.
Well, see, and that's what I love about President Trump. Number one, he was a businessman. Mm-hmm. America is a business. It's a registered corporation. Okay. And everybody and their brothers run the tab up to $21 billion in debt. I'm going to get into some of that here.
A trillion.
Or trillion, I'm sorry. Billion.
That's peanuts.
That's why I got you for.
$21 billion peanuts. Yeah. That's pocket change.
It's crumbs.
Yeah.
But President Trump come in with the intentions, okay, of being the president of the American people, and not dividing people. And I have never seen, and we'll probably never see this again, to where you have a man that's president, okay, he's doing everything he can to keep his promises. He's kept most of them up to now, and now he's trying to negotiate this peace with North Korea. And then we've got Iran hanging out there. We've got China hanging out there, a big bunch of thieves stealing our intellectual properties and everything. Mm-hmm. You got Canada out there. They're raping us on our farm agricultural things, with their tariffs and everything. But you got a man that's trying his best to bring America together. He's trying his best to include all Americans.
I like what Trump said. He goes, let's just take tariffs off. Everybody takes it lower. Yeah. No tariffs anywhere on anybody. Yeah. We take ours away. They take theirs away. Yeah. Let's compete.
Yeah, right.
Let's do it.
Free market.
But you know what? There'd be a lot more Germans driving Chevys and Buicks. And they don't want to see that. They want to drive in Volkswagens, Audis, and Mercedes.
Yeah,
they don't want that.
Yeah,
and that's why they can't compete. We can.
Right.
We build a cheaper car.
Well,
we know how to do it and make money on it.
Ever since the stock market was formed, and ever since our government went corporate, the marketplace, Dave, has always been manipulated. Okay, and you've got people with all these bankers. They know how to manipulate this market, and it'll sway back and forth. You watch the Dow, man. It's just, it's up and down. It's all over the place, and there's people shucking and jiving. They're selling. They're buying. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the most confusing thing I ever seen in my life. But now, a free market system, Dave. If we had, and I'll give a very simple example. Okay, our government manipulates the market. There's no doubt about it. And you've seen that big time with the Obama administration. Okay, when they're giving money to these companies that should have went under, they're picking winners and losers. Our government has no business picking winners and losers. You either survive or you don't survive. And then they'll come, oh gosh, what about all the people that's working for them? If the government keep its nose out of the marketplace, this will all, it's like melting a candle. The wax will all mix, it'll all mix in when it's melted, and you drip it on the same pile, it all melts in and looks the same. And a free market system works this simple. It is really this simple. If I got an apple orchard and I need somebody to pick my apples, and I come to you and I say, now, Dave, I'll give you $2 a bushel, okay, to come pick my apples. Now, if you say, no, I won't pick, I want $4 a bushel. And I say, no, Dave, I'm not going to pay you that. And my apples are getting ripe and getting more ripe. And I'm starting to think about this because I'm seeing my product about to go to waste, but I know I can get $6 or $7 a bushel on the market. Okay, then if I'm a smart businessman,
better to make $3 than zero.
And that's the free market. I come to you, I say, all right, Dave, I'll give you $4. You got any buddies to help you? That's free market. Okay, and not interfering and manipulating it. It's just like General Motors. And it's just like Solyndra, the place that Obama bailed out, panels, solar panels, and they still went bankrupt. That was
after they got their payoff. They stole taxpayer deal. Money. Then they said, "Well, it's time to fold up shop. We got our money. It's time to go."
That was a big campaign donor of his.
Oh yeah,
that got that money. Now that was just crooked.
That was just a plain old that was a plain old kickback.
But now these companies are not too big to fail, Dave. These banks. If mom and pop down here, if they can't make it, they'll just have to go out of business and do something else. If they can't compete, they're going to go out of business. But
it's amazing all the businesses that's gone out of business since I've been on this earth.
Well, I tell you,
I've seen. Yeah. I'm watching. Kmart go out of business completely. Sears is going out of business.
Montgomery
Ward's went out of business. Yeah. Remember Airway went out of business.
Rinks.
Remember Hills?
Rinks.
Remember all these department stores? They're no longer in existence.
Yeah.
Grants?
Right.
All these stores, they're gone.
Right.
And what's left? Walmart.
Yeah. And see, a lot of that is because of unfair trade.
But Walmart's scared of Amazon.
Well, sure, Amazon's a big dog on the block, really, brother.
I mean,
when you can order something like that mic right there that I ordered early yesterday, and it got here today, that's service, brother. Now I paid a few bucks extra for shipping, but they done what they said. They got it to me. It's about competing, Dave, but you have to compete on a fair playing field. Now it's just like, it's just like there was a company that wanted to move in here, okay, and big gas station outfit, okay, they wanted to put a 10 gas pump filling station in here, and they wanted to, and it's got a little They sell vegetables. It's like a little store inside, and they cook food for people and stuff. They got serve pizzas and stuff like that, and pretty good sized gas station. It's kind of like a Speedway in a way, but it's not. It's just they go into a little more produce and things, and some other things. But anyway, we got 2 mom and pop shops here, gas stations, okay, that's owned by people that live in our community. Okay, it's owned by locals. Now, we had our city meetings, and me and my sister and brother-in-law, we went and spoke to these. First thing would happen, if they would allow these people to come in, this corporation, it would have crushed them. It would have put them under. Now, there's times when an expansion, I don't believe that. Take it somewhere. I don't want to stop this company from expanding, okay, but I want to stop them from coming into my community and hurting my community. Now, a lot of people say, well, it'll bring more jobs, more revenue, more this, more that. To me, that is not worth the sacrifice to put these 2 other mom and pop gas stations out of business. And I talked to one of them, and he said, and before we knew what was going on, he was scared to death, Dave. He's got kids. He's a young man. He said, I don't know what I'll do. He said, this is all I have, is this 2-pump gas station. He said, this is all I have. And he's got a little convenience store there just right across the tracks. He said, I don't know what I'll do. My compassion was with him and his family. It wasn't with this big corporation. They knew, the corporation, Dave, they knew that they could come in here and bankrupt these people overnight and put them out of business. They'd be the big dog on the block. And I told them council people, I just laid it out to them. Corporation people sitting right there knowing I was telling the truth. And with me and some other people, several other people there, people had houses close to where they wanted to develop that. They said their piece, and they turned the permit down. And that's how things should work, Dave. Instead of coming in and just running ripshod over people, you know what I'm saying?
Well, it's nice to have a small town.
Well, that's what I told him.
If you want to live in a small town, it's nice to keep it small.
Well, and that's what I told him. I said, and there's some of the locals even really upset that they didn't get it because it was for their own selfish reasons, I told him, I said, some people take pride in being from a small town. And I said, I am one of them people. I said, I take pride in coming from a small town. Don't come in here and ruin this. This is hard to find. It's hard to find a place like this. And the longer time goes, the harder it's going to be to find a small town, Dave, But it was mom and pop. That's where my compassion lied with, was with the little guy, Dave, because, and it turned out, thank God it turned out in their favor for a change, A lot of times it don't. But that's your advantage to living in a small town is these people, we lived so close-knit together that they considered these small businesses, And in a big city, they would have looked at it differently probably,
Yep, they sure would have.
And give Dave a bottle of water too, Nate. But, how did we go from there to this split in California?
I'm not sure. Took a rabbit hole.
Yeah, but that's okay. But these people in California, I really think, Dave. Now there's a lot of schools of thought on this. But I really believe, now what started this, I can't remember how many thousands of people a year are leaving New York and California and a couple other states because of their politics.
Well, the cost of living is so. I mean, my house in Southern California would be worth probably $600,000. With just, I mean, it's not a big house; it's a little house, but but depending on the location, it would probably be around $500,000 to $600,000.
Yeah.
With just what the amenities I have, 2-car garage, basement, and about half acre of land.
Yeah.
That's how much it would probably go for.
Right.
And people just can't afford that anymore.
Well, and that's one ready to move into.
And with all the red tape, they're not building any houses because the expense is just too great.
Too many hoops to jump through.
You've got to get permits, and you got
soil samples.
Beg the county, beg the state. It's just too hard to develop the land, and that's why it adds to the cost.
Sure does.
And that when the cost goes up, people can't afford it. That's why you got people living in tents and using drugs because they've got no. That's all their life consists of.
Right. I was watching a show. Me and my wife was up to Right Pat, and she had to get some X-rays, and I was watching this show that's out in California where they flip these houses, and they was buying dumps for $300,000. And they was having to go in there and restore the whole home inside.
Put a couple $100,000 in it, and then sell for $6,000, $7,000, whatever.
And it was just, we couldn't believe the price of those houses.
The whole West Coast is very expensive. It's very expensive to live out there. I don't care if you're in Oregon, Washington, California, anywhere out there. It's very expensive.
Utterly ridiculous.
You pay for the nice weather.
Yeah, that's what you're paying for.
Oh, it is beautiful weather.
But now, I like I said, there's several schools of thought on this, and I don't know if it would produce more Democrats, more Republicans, but I believe it would produce more conservatives. I really believe this would work to the Republicans' advantage. I know you might think differently.
There's only one way to find out, and that's to do it. But I don't know.
I'd like to see it happen. I really would.
What I'd like to see happen is to see the state go to where the progressives want it to go. And just let them keep doing what they're doing out there. And it's going to be like everywhere else they've ever ran.
Yeah.
Baltimore,
Detroit.
Chicago, Detroit.
Yeah.
Every place that progressives, they run it into the ground.
Yeah.
They increase taxes.
Right.
Things don't get any better. Schools go down. You get more and more ghetto areas, and then they raise taxes to try to fix everything that they messed up.
And then they run off their businesses.
Oh, yeah.
This one, where was that at? They wanted to charge, that's California, I believe. They wanted to charge a employee's fee.
Oh, I was in San Francisco, I think.
200.
No. That was in Seattle.
Seattle, that's right.
That was
yeah.
Amazon's out there.
Yeah.
And,
$200-something an employee to take. They wanted to raise the taxes up $200-something a year for. If you had an employee, that you had to pay the IRS. Or state tax, you had to pay them $200-something for each employee you hired. What kind of stupid nonsense is that?
I think one of the companies threatened to move.
Yeah, Amazon, I believe, was.
It might have been.
And but I mean, see, that's how the liberals think. That's about where you come up with this dumb stuff? I tell you what you do. You take ICE out there, you arrest the ones that's illegal, you haul them back to Mexico or Honduras or wherever they're from, and you know what? You've cleaned out 3/4 of the homeless people. Then you can take care of your own people without having to destroy your economic structure, your economic base. And but anyway,
Today's economy, though, Les, anybody that wants a job can have a job.
Well, sure, yeah.
That's the way it is right now.
But if you, Dave, the more you feed a wild animal, the less he's going to hunt on his own. He's going to eventually be laying on your doorstep. Every time he gets hungry, he's coming to your house. Mm-hmm. And it's the same way with people that don't want to work, And, welfare is not supposed to be a way of life. The government at any level is not supposed to be your way of life. That's a last resort. Is what that's supposed to be.
Think about all the homeless people out there, even on a fixed income, whatever income, small income they have, it's not enough.
Right.
You can't live in California.
Oh, heck no.
You have to make a minimum of at least probably $3,000 a month.
Yeah, exactly.
To survive.
Right. Oh, the cost of living, Dave, is it's just off the chain out there, man. And,
their grocery store out there. Me and Janet went to one of the grocery stores. It's called Ralph's, and they got all the Kroger stuff there.
Oh, really?
But it's not called Kroger's. It's called Ralph's out there, mm-hmm. And you could buy all the Kroger brand stuff.
Oh, really?
It's sold. It's the same label and everything.
Really? Kroger label?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Same like their store brand.
Mm-hmm.
It's sold in Ralph's, and I guess they're owned by Kroger's. I don't know. That's what it was years ago. I don't know if it still is, but it was when we were out there in the late 90s, I guess. But yeah, you could. The prices on food wasn't that high, mm-hmm. But where they get you is in taxes on gasoline is probably. Yeah. I'd say gasoline right now is probably $1.50 more than it is around here.
Right.
And when we were out there, that's the highest I ever paid for a gallon of gas, was almost $5.
Man, that's crazy, buddy.
And that was out.
Yeah.
That was one of the state parks out there that we hit, and it was ridiculous. I said, how can people afford to live out here?
Wow. Hey, folks, real quick, you can go on Facebook and go on Arm Radio Group News, and they got a full lineup of our shows. It's on Arm Radio, and so you can go on there and check that out, see if you find something you want to listen to. Got some great programs on there, and if you want to call and talk to us today, we've got about 16 minutes left, probably less than 15 airtime. 1-800-508-5431. Give us a call, me and the Dave. Dave, there's so much going on. It's a great time to be alive, and our government, to watch the corruption, and now you got this Russian collusion. But now old Rosenstein, boy, he's trying to protect his hind end. The DOJ was supposed to release these documents, this report, the IG report, mm-hmm. supposed to come
tomorrow.
Out. And but they keep delaying it. So what are they going to say tomorrow? You got
I think it's coming out tomorrow.
Rob Rosenstein threatening to subpoena your committee members for asking him for documents in writing, and he got mad because it was in writing, so he threatens to subpoena their emails and phone records, and their staffs is into it. Their staffs is fighting with one another, and Congress has got the oversight of these, of the FBI, the DOJ, but you couldn't tell it by the way they act.
Well, get this. This Andy McCabe, he is suing the DOJ and FBI for wrongful termination. He says he can prove it. That, Comey says that he didn't give McCabe permission to leak. McCabe says, yeah, you did. You told me I could leak. So what? So the IG, Inspector General, went and asked under oath McCabe the question, well, did you leak to the newspapers? He said, no, I didn't. Well, he asked him 3 or 4 times, and 2 or 3 of the times were under oath.
Yeah.
And each time he said, no, I didn't leak. Well, how does that jive with if McCabe says that Comey gave him permission to leak, isn't he confessing leaking?
Yeah.
But yet he said to the Inspector General, no, I didn't leak.
Right.
And lied about it. And now they're after him. And the gall to go after to sue the DOJ and FBI for wrongful termination after he got caught in a lie 4 times is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Now, I'm just wondering, when Comey and McCabe get at each other's throats, and they're both under investigation, I'm sure, right now. If not...
They should be.
I think they are. And the IG referred McCabe for prosecution. Mm-hmm. So he's lawyered up.
Well, he was wanting immunity, too.
He's lawyered up. And I don't blame him for wanting immunity, because if he goes before Congress and he testifies, everything he testifies to will not be used against him, cannot be used against him.
Right.
So he'd want to spill his guts
but
so
now,
that they couldn't find anything to prosecute him with.
I hope that's his intentions, of spilling his guts if he gets it. Or is he just going to give them stuff they can't use, and here he is with immunity already?
Well,
they've done that before.
If he has immunity, and if he's sworn in under oath, which he would be, then you're going to have a problem.
Well, see, here's the thing.
Then you're going to have a problem, because McCabe is going to be testifying against Comey.
Right.
And Comey's going to be testifying against McCabe.
Well, see, that's good, though. It's infighting, because that's going to expose the whole ball of wax. If they're fighting with each other, I believe it's going to pull the hairs out of everybody's cat.
I think it will.
And but now, see, before they give McCabe immunity, they ought to set him down and say, all right, what do you have to tell us? What do you have that's worth the immunity? Instead of willy-nilly. Mm-hmm. Hopefully they're, for sure, Dave, they're smart enough to do that, and know what they're getting into, because this goes straight to Obama. This goes straight to what's her name?
Lynch.
Loretta Lynch. This goes to Valerie Jarrett. Mm-hmm. They're all involved in this, David. This Hillary Clinton. This my mind is failing me, and I can't write everything down.
You're having a senior moment.
Yeah, and they're getting closer and closer.
Give me a clue.
Black guy with a mustache. It's in the Obama administration.
Holder,
Eric
Holder, the Attorney General. Yeah.
There we go. See, it just comes to me. It just takes a while. But every one of them.
It's a wingman to Obama.
Yeah, and it goes all the way down to even the smaller ones in that administration.
You imagine Eric Holder running for president?
Oh, my Lord.
He's exploring it right now.
Well, yeah. That's why this stuff needs to come out, because they're arrogant enough to do that. They're arrogant enough to do that, David, and well, but now, here's a good question. Where's Hillary been? What's going on? Has she got wind that she's under investigation, or an indictment's fixing to come out on her? Well,
I don't know.
I sense something going on, but I can't put my finger on it. When I go back to my sources, they're which is not no inside information, but it's public information, but when I go back to get current information from them, my impression I get from them is Jeff Sessions is playing dumb, and he's fixing to lower the boom on all these people. I pray that's the case, but I tell you, I don't know. I'm just so disappointed in Jeff Sessions.
I heard several weeks ago that the FBI, local FBI in Little Rock, has got Hillary and Bill under investigation.
There's enough stuff down there, David, to give them 4 or 5 life sentences with all the drug running down there, and Bill Clinton's brother and his drug dealing down there, and her dealing, this Whitewater thing.
The Clinton Crime Foundation.
Yeah, it's a crime syndicate.
It's under investigation by the FBI. Don't let nobody no mistake on that, because that's one thing she hasn't been cleared of by anybody.
Yeah. And you ain't hearing a whole lot about it.
There's a definite connection there between her pay for play access to the government between the Clinton Foundation and her being Secretary of State, and Bill getting $500,000 all of a sudden to do a speech in Russia of all places, because of the Russian purchase of the it's a subsidiary of the uranium plate.
Uranium One.
Uranium One.
20% of our uranium went to Russia.
That's all under investigation.
Yeah. Well, speaking of foundation, let me plug this real quick. If you want to donate to the Christopher Lee Foundation, go to the Facebook, Les Skymo's Facebook, and we're still working with them. They're trying to drag money out of us to boost that page and all this. And, we're trying to raise money, not put out money. And sooner or later, we're going to get that button on there. But if you really want to donate to the Christopher Lee Foundation, you go to Les Skymo, my Facebook, and ask me about it, and I will give you details how to donate to the Christopher Lee Foundation. Like I said, 100% of our money donated goes to the cause, and it is tax deductible. We're a 501c3, and so just get a hold of me, and we would appreciate it. It goes to kids with terminal illness, and also goes to research. And now, Dave, back to this Rosenstein thing. See, that's how arrogant these people are. He's upset because if he turns over all these documents, his goose is cooked. Okay, what's going on here is what they're not trying to hide and destroy, they're going to redact. They're going to drag it out as long as they can. They're trying to hide this stuff. I don't think Rosenstein really knows what to do, because if the Justice Department gets their hands on all the stuff they want, or the committee, if these committees get all their hands on all these documents, Rosenstein's cooked.
I believe he is.
And Comey cooked his own goose to be as smart as he's supposed to be. Writes this phony book and goes on this phony book tour. See, they're so arrogant, they think that they can just fool anybody and everybody. And that's the danger of being so corrupt, Dave, is you start believing that you're invincible. And
that's right.
It blinds you to reality. And that's the way the Democrats, they want to pull the wool over your eyes. They say things and do things they don't even believe, but they think they have you convinced of this, but I think Rosenstein has stepped in it. I really do. And it's just going to be a matter of time because, now, I don't know how much the president can or can't do in this situation, but if I had the power and I'm sitting in President Trump's seat, Rosenstein's fired, he's under investigation, and he's ready to be cooked. I'd clean that place out.
See,
Mueller would be fired. This investigation would stop.
The president has a lot of power. Yeah. The Department of Justice is part of the executive branch. The FBI, that's why he can appoint FBI directors, CIA directors. All these directors of all these departments are under him. Mm-hmm. He's in the executive branch of government, and all these were created by Congress. The FBI was created by Congress. It wasn't in the original Constitution that we have an FBI.
Right,
It was created by Congress back in, I think, the 19-teens or 20s, somewhere back in then, at the Federal Bureau of Investigation, because all the state jurisdictions and local jurisdictions were so corrupt. So they had a federal organization.
Well, the mafia is
they were getting paid off.
That. Yeah.
Like for running alcohol or whatever, moonshiners, they were paying off local people.
That's how the Kennedys got rich, was running the liquor.
So they brought in the federal people came in. And all the federal people,
G-man.
they work under the auspices of the president.
Right.
And he has the ability to fire anybody in the executive branch.
But now look at what's happened, though, Dave, is they turn around and they're rebuking the government. They're rebuking Congress. Same thing the IRS done. The same thing that Bureau of Land Management does. These organizations, they have so much power within themselves that I don't understand it. Why the Congress or the president don't just step in and squash them?
See,
and tell them, hey, you work for me.
He can and he will eventually. I think
does.
because Mueller.
Well, got 1 minute, brother.
Mueller is a junior, meaning that he works for the pleasure of pleasure of the president. He cannot indict the president.
Right.
He's a junior.
That's true.
The Constitution says the president cannot be indicted.
Right.
You just can't do it because think about it. There'd be private people suing him all the time. Him going to court and his business of running the government would not be. He couldn't do it because he'd be too busy defending himself.
Right. Yeah.
So if he wants to get rid of Mueller, he can. But this is Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution.
Hurry up, Brother Dave.
Rosenstein has no authority whatsoever, which is under the Constitution, to do anything to Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He's a junior, and a junior can't do anything to a senior.
All right, folks. God bless you. Thank you for listening to Unscheduled with Les Skymo and Dave. And Dave, take us out. We've got 10 seconds for Les.
Great talking to y'all. We'll see you next week. Same.